All right. Hey, everybody. Oh, Amy, you've got a lovely profile picture there. Sharon, I'm just going to mute you because I'm hearing blips for a second. Welcome to our Thursday night Grow team call. Even though you see this, oh my, that was weird. Yeah, I'm just on a different computer and the camera is taking on a life of its own. So hopefully it keeps its eyes up here and doesn't drop. That would be wonderful. All right, so it's Thursday. Yeah, kind of had a busy day. We're actually going to let Sharon Noelle share with us. I am so thankful. I asked among our leaders if anybody would volunteer, and there were crickets for quite a while. And then Sharon said, well, I'll share. And she hasn't been feeling very well either. So thank you so much for kind of walking out of that. And I'm sure that you're nervous, but we all love you and we're a family and we want to support you and just celebrate your successes with Plexus with you. So take it away. I'll unmute you and then mute myself and whatever. And you just share from your heart and it'll be great.
Okay, hopefully everyone can hear me okay. I'm on my phone in my parents' house in BC and there's kids in the next room. So yeah. So it's good? Thumbs up? Okay, fantastic. Okay, so yeah, for me, my Plexus story is, which I kind of wrote down here, so I'll just try not to look at the paper too much. But yeah, I mean, if you had asked me a year ago, I would have told you I was healthy. And that's totally not why I looked into Plexus. I was interested in Plexus because someone that I really, really love and had been encouraged to try it. And I figured that if I tried Plexus too with this person, then maybe this person would go and give the products an honest go. But I didn't really need Plexus. I was the girl, I knew all about gut health. I got why it was so important. I was the girl, I made my own bone broth. I've been doing that for a long time. I made homemade sauerkraut way before it was cool. I enjoyed the shock value of friends asking me what the heck was sitting on my counter when they stared at horror at the SCOBY that was like floating in my kombucha. Yeah, so, you know, I was convinced I didn't need the products. I was healthy. They wouldn't hurt anything, I figured, but I didn't think that it would drastically change anything either. So, you know, I wish, looking back, I wish I could say that I tried Plexus because I was unaware that being high energy in the past was not the same as being high energy in the present. You know, because if I was honest with myself a year ago, I was so dog tired that sometimes I could barely think straight. But that didn't matter, I figured, because I figured no one really knew. I figured my friends had to give me a free pass because I had had a baby not that long ago. And those that were getting tired of me punking out all the time, they just didn't get it. They just didn't understand. You know, and I had convinced myself that my 3-year-old maybe didn't notice that I was usually too tired to play. And, you know, she never saw the tears that would fall once I would get the kids in bed. And I'd cry because I was guilty because TV time had went too long that day. Or, you know, I had said no to playing kitties in a fort because I just didn't want to clean up the mess and I was tired. Or that I'd gotten cranky at her or the baby, you know, for doing what babies and 3-year-olds do. You know, where I would just cry because I thought that maybe, you know, I wasn't the mom that I wanted to be. I wasn't the mom that was fun. Yeah, you know, she would ask why we couldn't go and meet her little friends sometimes at the park. And I would come up with excuses to my 3-year-old. And the truth was I was just too tired to go and put on a happy face and get us all out the door and pretend everything was fine for an hour at the park. So, you know, but I had convinced myself everything was fine. You know, and I figured that, you know, with my husband, I figured he had to give me a free pass because the house was still reasonably clean. And I figured he didn't know that anything was wrong either. You know, and he just had to give me a free pass because, well, I'd had a baby, right? So, it didn't matter. It didn't matter that I had nothing left to give him at all because I was just so exhausted. I'd convinced myself that this was normal. I thought, I'm just going to bounce back. This is normal. But the reality is that I was so tired that I couldn't even sleep, even when I had the opportunity to sleep, because cortisol would go and shoot through my veins, and I would wake up in the middle of the night, or usually really, really early in the morning, and my heart would be pounding, and I'd be wide awake. And it was because I was so tired, I could not even sleep. So, and I wish I could say I had tried Plexus, because I had known that the muscle pain that I felt wasn't normal. My muscles had been so tight since about the time I've been 12 that I've had massage therapists say on numerous occasions, different ones, that they actually had no idea how I was walking around normally. It had never occurred to me that could help with something like that. And this is embarrassing, for that as a bit of a badge of honor. And I wish that I had tried Plexus, because I was pouring a good liter of tea down my throat a day just to make it through the day. But I figured, because it wasn't coffee or pop, that it was, healthy, because black tea doesn't have caffeine. Yes, it does. And I would put extra honey into just for that sugar boost. But again, it wasn't real sugar, so it was healthy. And I figured I didn't have blood sugar issues, even if every day at 1 o'clock I'd put my kid to bed and I'd be like, oh, I need sugar, or I'm going to die. I figured I deserved a free pass because I was a mom of little ones. Yeah. And I wish you guys can hear me, right? Hello?
Yes. Sorry, I'm muted so that, yeah.
Okay, muted is good. Okay.
Well, I cannot be muted so that I can interact with you and you don't feel like you're talking to a wall. I know that that's kind of a challenge too.
No, it's okay. I just thought it had shut off. So
no,
it's all good. Yeah, I wish I could say that I tried Plexus, because I had a list of over 20 serious diagnosed food sensitivities. So it was wheat, all dairy, eggs, hazelnut, tuna, peas, oranges, cinnamon, nutmeg, sunflower, buckwheat. Who's even allergic to buckwheat, and all of these other things? But the list went on, and I figured that maybe this was normal. There were people who were really concerned, because they're like, hey, your list is growing longer and longer of everything that you can't eat. I just figured these people just didn't understand. I figured total avoidance controlled many of my symptoms, food sensitivity symptoms that I had. And plus, I figured maybe it would get better, because the naturopath said maybe it would. So, I wish I had said, or could say, I had tried Plexus for that, but that's not why I tried Plexus. I wish I could say that I had tried Plexus because a couple of years ago, I had an allergic reaction, so severe, to some lacquer that my husband was using to finish the renovation in our basement, that when my mom finally made me go into ER, I was forced to skip the entire triage, because the doctors and the nurses couldn't believe that I was breathing fine. I was covered that in the worst eczema, that the doctor who actually specialized in eczema, the one that was on call that saw me, he specialized in eczema and psoriasis, and I had the worst eczema he had ever seen in his life. And it should have been a serious wake-up call that something was not right in my body, but it wasn't. The severe eczema actually stuck around right until I decided to make a serious change. It was just going to have to be, I figured it was just going to have to be one of those things I had to live with, and I had to suck it up and just deal with it. And avoiding my massive food sensitivity list, it did help a little bit. So, I just kind of figured that's my lot in life. And I wish I could say I tried Plexus, because my second pregnancy was so brutal that the last half of it, I ended most days by collapsing onto the bathroom floor, sobbing, where no one could hear me and no one could see me, because I had spent the day in so much pain I could barely make it through it, and keep that smile plastered on my face so no one would know. The doctors all said that I was completely healthy though, which is part of the reason I was like, no, I gotta just get through this, because they could find nothing wrong with me. And I mean, they would tease me. They'd say, you don't even have a swollen ankle, so you are fine. um, yeah, I wish I could say that I'd tried plexus because I had hair falling out by the handful right before I tried it. And yeah, this is normal after having a baby, but it's not normal 8 months postpartum. And it was actually, it's funny, it was easier for me at the time to have nightmares most nights about going bald than it was for me to say, hey, something is not right. I'm not healthy. I couldn't say that. I wish I'd tried plexus because a sales associate doing a skin match for me at a cosmetic store told me that my skin was so dull that she was concerned for me. And I justified it. I said, she's probably just trying to upsell me. And, you know, I was like, oh, who says that to someone? And it was a good thing I knew I was healthy, is what I told myself. So, you know, it's funny. I jumped fully into plexus because somebody else was sick. It never occurred to me that I was sick too. I knew people that were in worse shape than I was. So I figured that made me healthy. Being healthy in the past is not the same as being healthy right now. Knowing and even doing all the right things is not the same as being healthy. I was so busy ticking all the right boxes that I never stopped to ask myself, am I actually healthy? Is my body responding to life like it should? Am I sleeping well? How is my energy level? What does my skin look like? What is my mood like? Do I feel like me now, here in this moment, not 5 years ago, but right now? Do I feel like me? Am I where I want to be? The first thing I noticed when I finally drank that first pink drink within the first 3 days was I got tired. I always laugh when people say, oh, the first thing I noticed with plexus was the energy right off the bat. That was not me. My energy levels during the day were all right those first few days. When I was forced to be on, I never considered if I was tired. I just pushed through. So who knows what they really were? I don't know. I couldn't tell you that. But in the evening, those first 3 weeks, I was so tired that I would put my babies into bed and go to sleep myself by 7:30. And I would wake to feed my baby once in the night, and then I would fall immediately back to sleep. And my husband would have to wake me up before he left for work. This is not normal for me. My whole life, I've been like a bounce out of bed at 6 a.m. kind of girl, or before the alarm goes off. Yet it occurred to me that the biggest initial gift that plexus gave to me was the ability to sleep deeply. And I think that it had almost been 4 years since my body had been able to do that. Yay, side effects of balanced blood sugar, right? Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah, so better sleep had a massive domino effect. So more noticeably, energy came quickly. And my first big aha moment came when I was putting my 3-year-old to bed and just being silly with her with tickles and play fighting. And she stopped playing and she looked up at me with her big blue eyes and she said really sincerely, like a 3-year-old does, she said, "Mommy, you're my mommy again." And that was the moment right there that I was sold completely. So for me, healing has been both fast and slow at the same time. I think on one hand, because I've always ticked those healthy habits boxes, I started seeing many of the positive side effects of plexus quickly. The product didn't have to fight against a lifetime of unhealthy eating or not enough water or overuse of medication or highly destructive lifestyle habits in my case. Better sleep and through the roof energy came really quickly for me. Brain fog left really shortly thereafter. I've never struggled with extreme moodiness, but I will say that my default mood has once again returned to happy, even when life is stressful. So that's cool. My hair is a hot mess because regrowth has occurred with a vengeance. So it's all different lengths. It's all different lengths, even though I keep cutting it. But I'm okay with that. Yeah. And I have the last month, I've had a ton of random people stop me. Some I know, some that I don't even know, and tell me that my skin looks amazing. So that's kind of nice to hear, because it was a year ago that that the sales lady was like, yikes, what's going on? A few months ago now, I already became aware that my muscles, for the first time in my memory, have not constantly hurt. They're not super tense at all times like they were. And I'm pretty sure that this is the side effect of BioCleanse. And for me, I didn't start taking BioCleanse because I had bathroom issues. I was actually always good in that department. I took it because it was nearly free as part of the combo. I did the math. But since then, I've realized I think I was severely deficient in magnesium, which is the star ingredient in BioCleanse. So the combo of products was totally stellar for my breastfeeding. That's a whole different story. But I will just say that my milk was so nutritious and pumped up with probiotics and prebiotics once that my baby's eczema was fully healed within probably less than 2 weeks of starting Plexus. So that's very cool. And then when I had to go exclusively to pumping I was able to pump for over 3 months, and we're talking massive amounts of milk that I was able to pump like it was no thing. So the lactation consultant and doctors and stuff said that they had never seen that before. So there you go. But healing, it's also been really slow for me, because remember that eczema, like you guys, it was so bad. You cannot imagine how bad my eczema was, right? So prior to Plexus, I had gotten it fairly under control because of the food sensitivities. The last few months I was doing a lot better, but then 3 months into the products is actually, and initially Plexus healed it up all the way, but then 3 months into the products, it was horrible. Like I was covered in eczema again. And here's the really weird part though. I felt really fantastic. I just did not look it. And this is where it gets really, really weird. So the eczema actually only showed up in places where it had been the worst with the lacquer dust. So I think, these are places I'd never had eczema in my life before. What was really weird too is the rash didn't actually itch and it was not painful. So my theory is I've always detoxed through my skin, always, since I've been a baby. And I actually think that it was residual lacquer dust in my system that my liver or whatever had been hanging on to that was eking its way out through my pores. Because it was crazy. It was the exact type that I had before in the exact same places, and there was nothing that was going on that should have made it there. So yeah, I'm also finding I'm able to eat everything again, yay, without fear of food sensitivity reaction. I've been on Plexus for nearly a year, and it's taken this long for certain foods to not bloat me or cause super dry skin or cause digestive issues. There was no overnight fix with this. And I have to still be careful, or I have been careful about what I've consumed this whole time, because I found that I've had to be, if I would overdo it, it'd be like, okay, no, those hands are a little bit itchy again or whatever, right, until quite recently. So I can't tell you how thankful I am to eat like a fried egg and some toast and cheese once in a while, because that would have covered me in extreme bleeding eczema. So no, nothing, it's fine. And I personally feel that my gut health, for all kinds of external reasons, like serious sleep deprivation for my first baby, and the reality of pregnancy being a tax on the body, and primarily just from years and years of extreme stress, I think that it brought my body to the place where I wasn't able to bounce back, even though I was doing all these things right. It could not heal effectively on its own without supplementation. And for me, Plexus is what gave my body the tools it needed to truly start healing. The body is amazing if we give it half a chance. And I'm never going to grow tired of learning about it. And I just feel so privileged to be passing that gift on to others. What I would not give for, and I just think too, what I wouldn't give for prevention in the first place, right? And Plexus can do that too. So pretty cool. As for my business part, I've been actively sharing Plexus since mid-June. Before that, I told a few people. My mom was actually my first customer, because she knew a lot better than I did that I was in really rough shape. And she was going to pay for the products for me for about 6 months is what her and my dad decided. But then instead of deciding to take her up on her offer, I asked if she could support me by taking Plexus with me. And both her and my dad jumped on. So, and they love it. But my best friend, she was my number 2. She actually doesn't care one iota about gut health. She's starting to come around, but she does fiercely love me. She was actually my second ambassador, and she's been taking the products this whole time and feeling good. And my husband, who made severely against what he thought was a pyramid scheme health gimmick scam, was what brought me to sober, right? And he sheepishly came to me 2 months into the product, and he asked me if I could sign him up because he'd seen such a positive difference in me. So before mid-June, I begrudgingly made a few Facebook posts just to get Becky Rubel to leave me alone because she kept bugging me about it. Janelle may have actually had the first Zoom call I ever had recorded, where I quite rudely actually announced that I hate Facebook and that I wasn't going to post on it. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that I'm never going to live that down. It turns out I really like sharing Plexus. I don't feel like this is something that it is fair to keep to myself. And yeah, people can absolutely choose to listen. They can choose not to listen. They can take what they will, leave the rest. But you know, the fact is there's a lot of hurting people out there that are in far worse shape than I was. And we have something that can change their lives. That's a really big deal. Yeah, and I now share Plexus daily, often on Facebook where people can see. I'll share little pieces of my story because people like stories. And they'll read what you have to say, whether or not they're commenting or liking, because you know what? They're Facebook friends with you because they like you. They want to know what's going on. But even the days where I'm unable to post something, I make sure that I'm still sharing Plexus in person or on Messenger or something like that. So I think that we have something that everybody needs. So that's a big deal. And there's truly nothing better than hearing someone you care about say to you that, you know what, I'm feeling better after a few months of trying the products or a few weeks, and they say, you know, I'm feeling better. It's amazing. So yeah, so this is me. I'm not going to be that incredible story that is the girl that went diamond in 2 years. And I'm so okay with that. So right now I'm working on gold, and I'm going to get there sooner rather than later. And I have 2 extremely, extremely busy little girls at home, no family around to help, a few other commitments, and a husband who's quite literally working about 90% of our waking hours. But however, Plexus is something that I can fit into the cracks of life. And these last few months have been all about finding those cracks for me. And yeah, and then I'm choosing also to continually step outside of my comfort zone and just continually move forward. I think my favorite part about this business is that I have control over what the business looks like and the rate at which it grows. So if you want to be the girl that goes diamond in a year, you can be, right? And I have a whole team of people cheering me on, encouraging me to go for it, making suggestions because they've been there and done that and know what will work and are holding me accountable. And I truly feel like the luckiest girl in the world that, you know, not only do we have incredible products, and guys, we have like free training coming out of the kazoo. That's a big deal, right? People go to school for this for a lot of years. You know, I just think that we have more support than I've ever had in any workplace. It's just, we've got something amazing here. So, you know, I don't know. And then like, even aside from all of that, it's like products and business, nothing. This is just a huge chance for personal development and personal growth. And I just think it's an amazing opportunity. So I've got no regrets, and that's my story.
Yay. Thank you so much for sharing with us.
Mm-hmm.
That was awesome. You're such a good storyteller. You guys can, I know that you've seen her posts and all of those things, and she just has such a beautiful way with words. So thank you for being so willing to be vulnerable and open for our team. And I really think that your story is going to touch so many. I can't wait until you get on one of our events like what we just had, and we're going to be able to share you with like a ton of other people. So I wanted to talk about our event really quickly. Our event was amazing. Thank you guys so much for adding people in and for just for your participation, for your commenting. All of those different things just made that event so amazing. And the leadership team and I have been talking about it a lot, and we've all said that I think it's the best event that we've ever done. And so, you know, now we're just sort of trying to dissect it and figure out what exactly was it that made it the best event. I am a huge believer in the culture of this team and how we band together and how we're not one of us on our own, we're all of us working together. And I think that we really, whether it was by accident or on purpose, did a really good job of presenting that to people. And I think that that really shows people what kind of support they can expect when it comes to Plexus, that you're not on your own. You're there with at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other people that are with you every day in your support chat and doing that kind of thing. So again, a huge thank you to you guys who chose to share, and we will be trying to work that in as well. Sherry and I were talking the other night, and I think what we're going to do, I've already kind of been trying to do this, but she kind of cemented it in my brain. So, you know, when you get something from a couple different sources, you go, oh, well, maybe I should listen. So we're going to try to have Testimony Tuesday in Grow, but have it be like what we did for the Fall into Healthy Habits event, where there's, you know, somebody that's facilitating and then 2 people sharing their stories quick. I think that it's really, really important that we continue to pour belief upon belief upon belief into our team. And I think that we need to take our team culture by the horns, because we have an amazing team culture, and just pour more belief on top of that. And I think that that's going to be absolutely brilliant for us. Something that I want to challenge all of you guys to do, so this is where you get your pens out and you write something with a really, really big star beside it. Like Janelle wants us to do this, so maybe we should. So for everybody who has yet to do this, and I'll talk to those people who haven't done it yet or have done it yet as well, but if you haven't written out your story with a picture of you, maybe you with your pink drink, I don't know, picture of you and your story, that needs to happen. And I don't want to hear anybody saying, oh, but I don't really have a big story. Okay, I don't want you to say that at all. I don't know about anybody else who has a big story. Sometimes the big stories are really hard to share because you're pretty sure it's going to overwhelm people and like run them over like a train. You know, it's good for somebody to say, hey, I knew that I needed to start taking prevention into my own hands. And yeah, I've got better energy, I sleep better, and I know that I'm doing A, B, C, and D for my body in the future. You know, all of these things, like that is a great testimony, right? So write out your testimony, please. Talk to your upline about it. If you need help with it, please let them be in collaboration with you. And then what I want is, I want them all posted in True North Health and Happiness, but I would also love to have them posted in Grow so that we can all post them on our walls as well. It's something to share something from someone who lives down in Texas and whatever. Who was it? Becky, was it you? Somebody had, I can't remember who this was. Someone had sent a video of me telling my story to somebody, and they were like, oh yeah, I don't do testimonies. And then they'd say, was that you? And they were like, and then you were like, no, she lives in Gull Lake. And they're like, oh, well then I'll listen to it. I'm like, what does that matter? Was it you too? Or, yeah. Why does that matter to us? Well, maybe because like we hear of these people, right? Like you don't realize that they could be made up people, right? But when you've got somebody with a home address that's closer to you that you could actually reach out and talk to, that's different, right? And so I would really like to do that. My other thought with this too is, and you're welcome to use this thought if I don't get it going, because my thoughts aren't just for me, but what I would love to do is I would love to have a picture of everybody individually and be able to put like 4 bullet points or 5 bullet points of what they have experienced with Plexus, like no more bloating, no more abdominal discomfort, no more constipation, like all these things that we could just, like there's a picture and then we have all the bullet points. Nobody needs to read a story that's like this long if they're ADD like me and they just want to look at a picture and be like, whoa, that person had a lot of things going on, right? And I think that that would be really, really great for us to be able to do as well. So write out your testimony, write out your story. If you have already written out your story, I would really encourage you to pick a part of your story and take it out and then expand on it. Because, I mean, for me, I feel like I've got about 11,000 different stories, right? Like it's, you know, I want to expand on my arthritis story. I want to expand on the fact that, you know, they figured that I was not going to walk properly. They figured I wasn't going to be able to have children. They figured, like, all these different things, right? I want to be able to say that Plexus did this, right? But compliantly, without the word arthritis in it, right? If you need reminders what compliant means, just write it out and we'll help you. Okay, just no disease names. That's what we're working on. If you can't get past it without a disease name, put it in and then talk to your upline and we'll figure it out together. All right, so that's kind of my, hey, I'd love you to do this. But what I do want to talk about tonight is something that has been really on my heart lately. And I need, as long as it's on my heart, I need to keep talking about it because I feel like there are people that need to hear it. Okay? And so all of you who are here, I really appreciate you being here. And maybe there's only one of you that's going to watch this video later. And so I apologize to the rest of you if you've all heard this before, but, you know, just stick with us. We're all a family. We're all here together. And that's the topic of value. Okay? I need all of us to get to a place, not I need, we need all of us to get to a place where I'm not just telling you that you have value and that you have value on this team and you have value in the lives of others, but you are actually able to say to yourself without a yeah, right popping up in the back of your head, hey, you know what? I have value. I have something to give. I'm important. What I have to say has weight. Because I think that this is where a lot of people struggle with their businesses is, you know, they've got belief in the products work, right? I mean, anybody who hears Sharon's story, they're going to know that the product works, right? And we know that the business pays money because we've got people who are driving Lexuses and going on trips and all those things. You can't do that without money, right? I'm paying for private school and a mortgage in the city and a ridiculous amount of property tax right now because of Plexus, and we're still eating, right? The money works. The business works. Bringing people on board works. But I think where people have a downfall in their businesses is that they, you know, we talk about have belief in yourself, right? And be like, oh yeah, I can do this. Okay, well, I can do this. Well, okay, no, I'll try, right? Whereas underneath it all, when you really start to peel away the layers, we don't value ourselves. So what does that look like? Okay, for example, you go to Facebook and you are going to post something on Facebook. Maybe you have something that's just rolling around in your brain that you feel like you should share. And then the little voice in your head says, nobody needs to know that. That's stupid. Why would you share that? That's not important. Can anyone relate to that? Or getting to the point of I need to post on Facebook and almost being anxious about it because you don't feel like you have anything that anyone would value enough to read, so why would you bother posting it anyway? We all have a tremendous amount of value, and the people who see it least are ourselves most often. I remember thinking, and I've shared this with some of you before, I remember sitting at Silver and watching the Rising Diamonds and all those people and watching these amazing posts that they were doing and the pictures with their families and all this stuff. And I remember thinking, gee, I can't wait until I have that kind of stuff to be able to share with people. Guys, we want to hear about the everyday. We want to hear about what you're doing. We want to hear about what you're thinking. If you keep it to yourselves, you're keeping a huge thing away from the rest of us who may really, really need it. There are so many times that I've gone to go live or something like that, and I've had that little voice in my head, and maybe I shared this on a live this week, this little voice in my head going, oh, you got to get this done first. You got to go do this. I had that happen to me on Sunday night, and I did it on a live in Grow, and I want to expand on that a little bit more. Man, did I feel responsible when I started to see posts come up from you guys. Like there were about 3 or 4 posts of people, posts and messages and those kinds of things about people struggling with exactly the same thing that I felt convicted to go live about the night before. And I thought, how incredibly selfish of me. I always talk about how I got out of my own way when God finally told me what gives you the right to decide whether or not your friends and family get well. And I stopped being selfish. Well, you know what? The truth of the matter is I didn't stop being selfish. I'm working every day to get out of my own way, to get out of my own selfish way. Because it's not about me. It's not about the things that I need to get done. Yes, my kids need to get clothed and fed, but you know what? They're doing pretty good. You know, they have to wait another 5 minutes for supper. It's not going to kill anybody. When you have a conviction placed on you that you need to do something, you need to go, you know what, to heck with the scary. There is somebody out there that needs to hear what I am supposed to share right now. And if I'm hearing about this in the back of my mind, I need to get out of my own way. I don't care what my hair looks like. Maybe I'll slap on lip gloss. Maybe I have to put on a filter. It don't matter, sister. Because the world isn't there to look at your gorgeous face, even though it's nice. And we all think that you're gorgeous without the lip gloss. But stop. Be real. And it's okay. And the more real that you get with people, the more value that you add unknowingly. Because, yeah, they don't want to see something done up all the time. They want to see you real. So I think that it's safe for me to say that we all want to add value to others. So we need to quit self-sabotaging ourselves, and we need to be bold. And you know what? That's uncomfortable for some people. It is uncomfortable. And sometimes when we can't see our own value and we aren't comfortable in our own value, we continue to look for different things to fill us. That this position that we're in, either home, finances, wardrobe, I don't know. There's something out there that could possibly fill this void in our hearts, right? Besides the love of Jesus Christ, that is the only thing that can surely fill a void in your heart. But when we have that, we need to turn around and share with others exactly where we're at. So please, please, please know that you are highly valued. And the things that you have on your heart to share need to be heard. Now, maybe you're sitting here going, okay, I'll try your whole value thing. I can tell myself I got value. I'll try. I'll start believing. But I still don't feel like I have anything that I can share. My suggestion would be this. Make sure that you're pouring into yourself. Because the more you pour into yourself, the more you have to share. Now, I may read 3 chapters in a book, and I may get a completely different thought process out of those chapters than Amy does. Or maybe Linda gets something completely different, because where she's at in her life is a different place than where I'm at. And our thought processes are going to go completely different ways, right? But what you're given from that is what you are supposed to share. So if you're not sure what you're supposed to share, go, okay, you know what? If you are a Bible believer, get into the Word. If you need self-growth, we all need self-growth. Go grab a John Maxwell book and read. And read and read and read. And you can share your takeaways. Just like Bob Heilig says, he's like, I don't want you to copy and paste exactly what I'm giving you and give to your team. I don't want you to do that. That's plagiarism. Don't do that. But learn it, turn around and teach it. Teach it to your teams, share it with other people, that kind of thing. Okay? Borrow from other people. Okay? If you see a cool picture, borrow it, use it. Think, oh, you know what? This made me think of so-and-so, right? You can add value to people's lives indirectly by posting on Facebook or Instagram. Another way you can add value to people's lives is when they come into your mind, please message them. I had another one of those smack upside the head moments this week. Man, I love those. When somebody who'd been on my heart for months and months and months, I'd reached out to this person. They were supposed to come, or I invited them to come to our Saskatoon event, whenever that was that we did it. I don't remember. January? February? I don't remember. Anyway, I went to Saskatoon last time. They couldn't make it. And I thought, you know what, after the Canadian opening, I think that would be a really great time to get back to this person, because I think that she could really use it. She'd be amazing. She would be amazing on these products. And then something happened in her life, and I didn't feel right messaging her. Well, the last 3 weeks, the Lord had her on my heart so heavily, and I kept on arguing with God, and you know how well that works. It doesn't. And then guess what? Delayed obedience is disobedience, and I've said that before. But God wasn't willing to wait for me. So I got a message in my inbox from her. Somebody that I don't talk to often, if ever. I comment on her stuff on Facebook. She's been watching. The first line of the message that I was so scared to open, because you better believe I did not open that message for like a good 12 hours, was, I want to try Plexus. Because in that moment, it was the weight of my disobedience and the disservice I'd done to that person. Because if I had listened 3 weeks ago, guess how long she could have been on the product? She ordered that day. So learn from my mistakes. We had a pastor who was a youth pastor out at our family camp this year, and he said, I want these youth to be able to start on my shoulders. I don't want them to start on the ground where I started. I want them to start here. And so you guys, I want you guys to start here or higher. I want you to take my mistakes and the things that I've learned, and I want you just to hold on to them and go, okay, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I mean, sometimes we've got to learn. Like, we all got to sign up somebody who's an ambassador who should have been a preferred customer. Amen. You don't learn any better than that. You get that figured out really, really quick. But I want you to take what I've learned, what your leaders have learned, and I want you to stand on our shoulders. Because if you take me and then you take Becky standing on my shoulders, and she's learned what she's learned and she's learned what I've learned, because she's not going to go through that stuff, and she's standing on my shoulders, and then all of a sudden we've got you guys. Can you imagine how much further those people start up? Listen to your leaders, because we love you. And we want you to add value. We see value in you. Okay? So please, with adding value to people, realize that that takes consistency. That takes chasing people down as friends. That takes follow-up with people. That takes engaging on Facebook before you go to post a post, right? They say 10 minutes of engagement either on Instagram or Facebook before you post will up you in the Instagram or in your algorithms. So go around and like and comment and make nice with people for 10 minutes before you post. Okay? Post consistently. I have a hard time remembering where I've posted. You might need to write it down, because some days I'll have like 10 stories on Instagram and then realize I didn't post a thing on Facebook, but I've been posting all day. What? Or I've posted in Team Awesome, or I've posted in Grow, or I've been talking in a chat, or I've been doing this and I've been doing that, right? I've made a promise to myself as of recent that when I wake up in the morning, I'm not opening my messenger unless I am opening my messenger to follow up with somebody for my own personal business, or if I'm reaching out to somebody. So I do check in. I won't say that. I do check in with you guys to see if anybody's got like, fire, fire, help, SOS. I do check. But there are days, like today, that I broke my own rule and I opened my messenger before I was supposed to open my messenger. I was going to send my mom a message. And then my whole day just took a different spiral because I didn't follow my own rules. Had I followed my own rules this morning, I probably would have showed up to my meeting with my papers that I needed and a pen and maybe my day timer. And instead, I had nothing because I was going down the rabbit hole, right? So consistency, write things down. We have an awesome IPA sheet in our files, okay? Use it as a guideline. If you don't want to make 3 new Facebook friends, if you want to make 6 new Facebook friends a day or Instagram contacts a day, then put 6 down there. If you would feel accomplished if every day you did 2, great, put that down there. This is not for you to reach somebody else's bar for you. This is for you to be consistent in the goals that you have for you, okay? So I'm talking about revamping an IPA sheet. I think everybody should do that. But use the sheet because that's where you see, and don't just take out a whole chunk because that's bad because you could just be like, oh yeah, I don't really need to do that. The smart people made the sheet, people. Do the things on the sheet, okay? Because you could just very easily take out something that you don't like to do. Don't do that, right? You'd be like, oh, I'm going to wish everybody a happy birthday, but I'm not going to make any friends. Well, great. That not great, okay? If you need that IPA sheet broken down more, talk to your sponsors, talk to in your upline chats, guys. They're so important because you can look back on them and go, oh, yeah, I haven't done that for a couple days. Maybe that's why things are a little slow, right? You can also use it to look back on if you're a little squirrely like I am. I don't remember who I followed up with or who I sent messages to 14 days ago. But if I have an IPA sheet and a binder, I can go back and I can look, oh, look. If you're more organized on your phone, use the notes section. It's a great, great place. So, value. You have it in you to give. Wait, that's the Canadian Blood Services motto. Value actually takes less effort and you'll be less dizzy afterwards and you don't have to eat a donut. Well, maybe. Sharon, do you have to eat a donut now? Yeah. Okay. That's kind of where I want to leave things tonight. You all add value to my life immensely by being who you are, by showing up on these calls, by watching them when they're played back, by your kind words. I am absolutely the most blessed leader in Plexus, and I have no doubt of that at all in my mind. And I'm so thankful for each and every one of you. If you have questions about where you can grow, what you need to change, do differently, ask your upline, but realize what you're giving them. You're giving them license to tell you. And know that I know honestly that anybody in here would only ever be speaking out of love for you. We might say some hard truths, but at the core of it, it's because we love you and we want you to do well. So I'm going to turn off our recording now and I'm going to say a couple more words. So those of you who are missing, sorry. But I'm going to turn off our recording now. Thank you guys so much for joining us in our team call. We'll be here again, same bat time, same bat channel. Does anybody ever get that when I say that? Nobody? Okay. It's a Batman thing. They used to say on commercials, same bat time, same bat channel. Jokes just aren't as funny when you actually explain them. Next Thursday night, we will be here at 7. And yeah, I'm really excited to start seeing some of these testimonies pop up. Stick them and grow. We want to read them. We want to hear all about you. We want to form an even stronger community than what we have. And I'm just so excited that I get to be a part of it. So hope you guys are having an awesome Thursday, and we'll catch you later.